Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Donald, and today we're going to talk about something that isn't really talked about enough, and that is the Silvergate problem. So if you don't know, Silvergate is a bank that does banking for a lot of crypto companies that you might even use, and they're in a lot of trouble, and that we're going to talk about that in today's video. So if you want to know when to buy Bitcoin or when to buy the crypto you want to buy, you have to pay attention to what's happening with Silvergate. Not enough people are paying attention to this, and that's what this channel is for. So before we get started, let's go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button for this happy little photo of this happy little penguin. And once you got that done, let's jump right in. Now I just want to make a quick highlight of DCG, Digital Currency Group, before we get into the Silvergate stuff, that I really feel that if DCG doesn't get their liquidity issues solved within the next couple of weeks, then we might be in for a very, very big problem, and there might be a very big hole within Digital Currency Group, and these guys are big. If we don't see funding into DCG, then that might cause another collapse where we're going to see the prices of crypto fall again. So that's what I'm waiting for. If you haven't checked out my last video of Celsius updates and the updates with DCG, Genesis, and Huobi, then please be sure to check out that video. So the first thing I really want to cover with Silvergate is that Silvergate is a fractional reserve bank, and I learned a lot of this from Simon Dixon's last live stream on Silvergate. So if you haven't given that a watch, give that a watch next, because you're going to learn a lot about Silvergate and everything that's going on. But Silvergate is a fractional reserve bank, which means that they create money through the use of loans. It is a US regulator bank that is registered with the Federal Reserve, and most of these fractional reserve banks, about like 40% of their portfolio is in real estate. And being a fractional reserve bank means that they are given the opportunity to create additional rewards by taking on additional risk. And that additional risk comes usually in the form of leverage. You know, that thing that caused the downfall of a lot of major crypto firms over the crypto winter? Yeah, they use that. The good thing about Silvergate is that it is an FDIC member, which means that they are FDIC insured. And if you don't know what FDIC means, it basically means that up to $250,000 you are insured if you are a depositor. So if you have more than that, then it's a good idea to take more than $250K out of that bank, because that's not insured. It only insures up to $250,000. That's something that they told us at the Twitter Spaces as well. So the largest segment of Silvergate loans, believe it or not, they're in real estate. And real estate is not doing very well, especially commercial real estate, which Silvergate is invested in. They haven't been doing as well since COVID, because people can now work from home, except for those working for Elon Musk. He just wants them in the office. And as an active bank, what Silvergate needs to do is they need to meet something called the Basel requirements. These are basically capital requirements, saying something along the lines of you have to have enough deposits to cover the loans that you give out. So in essence, the Basel requirements is their risk mitigation. Now, a lot of those deposits really came from Bitcoin and crypto exchanges. You know, when you go and send money to Coinbase and Kraken and stuff, yeah, they actually end up at Silvergate Bank as their deposits. But since then, you know, since this crypto winter and the bear market and the recession and people being scared, what resulted in that is a lot of people are now withdrawing their deposits from these crypto exchanges, you know, and taking their assets off and putting them in something like a ledger. And I mentioned this in all my videos. If you don't have a ledger, please get this in the pinned comment below, because in these times, having all your assets in a cold wallet is the safest place to be. And while you're doing that, also get an Apricorn, which is a military grade encrypted USB, has a pin pad in it, so that in order to get access to the files like your secret phrases, you have to know the pin. So you can also get this in the pinned comment below. And if you don't know how to use a ledger, I made a video for you right here that you should check out right after this video that teaches you everything that you need to know on how to use a ledger. So where were we? Oh yeah, so we have people withdrawing their deposits from the crypto exchanges, which means that they're really withdrawing from Silvergate Bank, which means that the deposits from Silvergate are being drained. This is not good, because they have capital requirements, Basel requirements to meet, right? So what do? So here is the double whammy, and I didn't realize that things were that bad until Simon explained it to me as how I'm going to explain to you right now. So remember that right now the real estate market isn't doing that well, and interest rates are also very high right now as well, right? And the situation prior to this was low interest rates. What does low interest rates spur? It spurs people to borrow more money. And at that point, it is fine. People can service a low interest rate, but what happens when interest rates rise? Well, people can't pay for the loans that they borrowed anymore. So then what happens? Well, they go bankrupt. And who takes the hit when these people who borrowed money can't pay back their loans again? Well, the people who loaned the money, that is Silvergate. You see where I'm going with this? Things are really bad because interest rates now are rising and people can't pay back their loans and they're going bankrupt and Silvergate is losing money. And on a tangent, one of the early investors in Silvergate was actually DCG, Digital Currency Group. That's right, Barry Silbert. And to give you an idea of who actually uses Silvergate, get this. So Silvergate is the bank for crypto exchanges such as Coinbase, Kraken, Genesis, which is one of Barry's subsidiaries, Gemini, Bitstamp, and that's only the exchanges. There's also the stable coins as well. You know, USDC, the founder of that is Circle. Well, they also use Silvergate. TUSD uses Silvergate. Paxos, who are the founders of BUSD, the Binance US dollar, they also use Silvergate. Gemini's stablecoin, Gemini GUSD, they also use Silvergate. So a lot of these exchanges and stablecoin issuers are banking with Silvergate. So it's a central point of failure, it looks like. And get this, Silvergate also does collateralized loans for Bitcoin. And who uses that? That's right, MicroStrategy uses that. And who's behind MicroStrategy? Yep, the famous good old Michael Saylor. So here's the current problem with Silvergate. They are heavily overexposed. They're involved in a lot of questionable situations and situations which they can't control, like user withdrawals and rising interest rates. Simon mentioned that in Q4 of 2022, $8.1 billion outflowed. That means $8.1 billion flowed out of Silvergate deposits, and they had to sell $5.2 billion in debt securities. That means that they had to get loans worth about $5.2 billion in order to meet capital requirements. I mean, when you have to borrow money to meet capital requirements, things are getting a little bit sketch. Not only that, FTX had about $93 million frozen after the bank run happened on FTX. And Silvergate was also servicing both FTX and Alameda. And that led to a class action lawsuit because Silvergate allowed that to happen. So the bottom line is I really hope that Silvergate makes it through this, because if they implode, if they collapse, that would be terrible. That would be detrimental for the whole entire crypto industry. It could actually cause the crypto industry to go extinct. Or maybe that's too strong a word. Maybe it'll roll it back several decades. And we don't want that to happen. So I was looking over the financial statements of Silvergate Capital. There really isn't anything to run home about with the income statements and balance sheet. The cash flow is kind of interesting. In 2020, they lost about $70 million. But in 21, they lost almost $8 billion from investing cash flow. So wonder what happened there. So that was something that really stood out to me, this big change in numbers. You know, I saw the same kind of thing with regards to Voyager, and that just seems really iffy. But at any rate, Silvergate announced their fourth quarter financial metrics, and it is exactly as what Simon said. Total deposits from digital assets customers declined to $3.8 billion at the end of 2022 compared to $11.9 billion at September 30th, 2022. Average deposits declined to $7.3 billion during the fourth quarter of 2022 compared to $12 billion during the third quarter of 2022. So in order to accommodate lower level deposits, they had to sell more debt securities and get a loan. And that also resulted in a loss of about $718 million during the fourth quarter of 2022. With that said, guys, that's really all I got for today. A lot of people don't know this news about Silvergate and what they actually do. They're actually quite important from the sounds of it, right? So other than that, guys, I really hope you got some value out of this video and you can prepare better for what's to come next. Other than that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, then please smash that like and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. Check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and passive income. And remember, guys, continue working, continue building, continue inspiring. I'll see you next time.